greetings, it's Ian from RTO here. Autumn is upon us. It's cloudy, it's windy, and it looks like it's going to rain. Anyway, that's less of the weather in Northampton. Today we are doing another part of the Elton John story, and this is, I've got to look, I can never remember, part 5. And we've reached the part of his career that covers the 21st century. So I've put all the albums that he's done since 2000 all together, and in this period he has released 6 albums. Now in this period he goes back to old style, and these are some pretty good albums in this mix, and there's one also in here that goes back to the early days, so interesting selection. So we'll have a look at his 6 albums from 2000 to 2021. So coming in at number 6, this is his actual 26th album in all, and the first one he released in the 21st century, and it's called Songs from the West Coast, and it was released in 2001. First track on this one is called The Emperor's New Clothes. Nothing to do with the he did it all together. No, it's nothing to do with that. It's actually just a song that he wrote. It isn't bad actually. I like the playing of it. It's piano playing. Obviously he's, like most singers, their voices change as they get older. It's a little bit deeper now, but it's still a strong voice, and I like that track. Then we get Dark Diamond. The way he's playing on this and the way this is put together, it's just like if he's going back to the 70s. It's a really good song again. I like that one. Then we got Look Ma No Hands. It's all right. It's not a strong song, I don't think, as the previous 2, but it's an okay song. American Triangle. Very good vocal from Elton on this. It's a good song. Original Sin comes next. There's a couple of notes he didn't quite hit, but I'll forgive him for that because this is Elton John. Then we get Birds. Strong track. Quite like this one. Very 70s feel to it. Then we get I Want Love. This is my second favourite track on this album. It just shows that he's still singing really well and playing the piano as good as ever. Then we get my favourite track on here, and it's called The Wasteland. I think this is really good. It's got some nice backing vocals, some nice keyboards on here. His piano playing is brilliant and still a really strong vocal. Then we get a Ballad of the Boy in the Red Shoes. Lovely string accompaniment to this. Very good song. Love Her Like Me. Some nice guitar work on this. As usual, there's so many people that play on these. We'd be here forever telling you who plays what. Very good song. Mansfield is probably the weakest track in here. It's not my favourite. The Train Doesn't Stop on here. Very good vocal, but it's one of them songs that I don't particularly like. A pretty strong album, really. It's maybe number 6, but it's still a very good album to listen to. So I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 6.8. Okay, coming in at number 5, we've got the 27th studio album, his second of the decade, and it was called Peachtree Road, and it came out in 2004. As usual, there's about 3 million people playing on here. So the first track on here is called The Weight of the World. Another nice song. The vocal is a lot stronger on this than the previous album as well. So it's a really good track. I do like that one. Porch Swing in Tupelo. Depends where you're from and how you pronounce it. It's an okay song. I think it helps when you've got some good backing singers, so Elton can sort of try and hit them notes, and he has a backup. Really good. Then we get my favourite track on here, and it's actually one of my favourite tracks of this period. Answer the Sky. It's got some nice guitar riffs on here, and I really like that. Great vocal from Elton as ever. Turn the Lights Out When You Leave. Bit of a country song. You know, he just, all through his career, he's thrown in a country style song, and it's works well, and it's not bad. Then we got My Elusive Drug, my second favourite track on this album. It's sort of one of them speak-easy, smoky room tunes with him on the piano and singing. It's great. They call her The Cat. A little bit of rock and roll here. It's a good track. You know, Elton still can do rock and roll. Freaks in Love. I don't like this song. It's a bit wishy-washy for me. Not a particular favourite of mine. Then we got All That I'm Allowed. A bit of a gospel thing on here, which is okay. Just proves he's got a versatile repertoire. I Stop and I Breathe. A nice arrangement here. I love the guitar and strings on this. It's a really nice arrangement. A very strong song. It's getting dark in here. Yeah, it is a bit. Another, again, it's a good song, and Elton still really singing strong on this. Fantastic little song. And the last track's called I Can't Keep This From You. It's got a really good keyboard solo in it, a great solo, and it's just something straight out of the 70s. Then we got, that was the last track, sorry. It's another good album. There's no really bad tracks on them. Be interesting where this would sit if I put all the albums together. That's a good idea for a tier ranking, actually. Elton John. Where would they all sit? So I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 7 out of 10. Okay, coming in at number 4. It's the most current studio release. It's the 6th of the 21st century. Came out in 2021, and it is his 31st album, and it's called Regiment Sgt. Zippo. Now, this is the debut album that never was. Now, this was actually recorded in late 1967 and early 68, but they decided to release Empty Sky as the debut instead of this. This sort of remained on the shelves for many, many years until Record Store Day of 2021, and they decided to issue it, the mono version, issued it on vinyl during this period, and then in 2022 it came out on the CD as a stereo thing, and it includes guitarist Caleb Quayle and drummer Roger Pope, who were in Hookfoot, and it's got bassist from the Trogs, Tony Murray, on it. Interesting people. So the first track on here was called When I Was T by Abbey. Very Procol Harum-ish sort of thing with that keyboard. It's okay. It's not too bad at all. Then we get a track called And the Clock Goes Round. Really nice track. Very simple. Nothing flash. Great vocal from Elton. Can't go wrong with that one. It's not too bad at all. Sitting Doing Nothing. Not too bad. He's not quite found what he wants to do yet. Yeah, it's listenable. Nothing wrong with that one. Turn to Me, my favourite track on here. This is very psychedelic for Elton. I've never heard him do anything so psychedelic. Some great guitar riffs on here. It's all sit around with flowers in your hair type thing, and it's really good. Then we have a track called Angel Tree. Yeah. It's a bit weak. It's a bit of a mishmash song. Then we get the title track, Regiment Sgt. Zippo. Very strange. It goes off in a right old tangent. But it's just nice to hear how he started, really. Then we get A Dandelion Dies in the Weed. Not a bad track. All very quaint and surreal. Then with You Be Sorry to See Me Go. This is a track that could have got onto the Empty Sky, to be quite honest. It's a really good track. I like that one. Nina, there's not much going on in this one. It's just all over the place again. Tartan Coloured Lady. Very weird and wonderful, but it's good. Hourglass, great track. Very 60s poppy sort of thing. You can see this this is the one track that shows that glimpse of what was to come. Then we have Watching the Planes Go By, my favourite track, second track on here. Again, it's very psychedelic, and I thought, you know, psychedelic Elton John's pretty good. I do like that. That was the last track. An interesting album. Very confusing in places, though, and I can understand why they released Empty Sky and shelved this one. But we've got it now, and it's not a bad album, and I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 7.5. Okay, then coming in at number 3, got the 30th album, the 5th of the millennium, released in 2016, and it's called Wonderful Crazy Night. First track on this one is called Wonderful Crazy Nights. Surprise, surprise. A quirky little track from Elton John. Some of them little short quirky tracks that he's renowned for, and I like it. It's a very, very good track. Then we get In the Name of You, another really strong track. Great vocal. The arrangement's good. And then we get my favourite track on this one. It's called Claw Hammer. I just love it. It's just a really well put together song. It's got a hooky catch to it, and it's the best vocal on this album from Elton John. Blue Wonderful comes nice. So real sort of country feel. It's got that steel pedal guitar on it, which is nice. Still making great music. You know, this is his last album of original songs, and it really is strong. I've Got Two Wings. The percussion on this is really interesting. It's got some brushes on it, and I love that sound. A Good Heart, second best vocal on here from Elton John. Tremendous how he can still sing, and he's, you know, he's got a few ailments like we all do when we get older, and for him to sing songs like this, it's still great. Then we have my second favourite track on here. It's called Looking Up. Some electric piano on here, and it's a really good groove. I like that one. Guilty Pleasure, fantastic track. Proper Elton John 70s uplifting, jiggy sort of stuff. Tambourine, it's just one of those tracks. It's okay. And the open chord, not very memorable. It goes on a little bit too much. I still think this is a reasonably good album. We don't know if it's going to be his last album or not. You just don't know, do you? I know he's finished touring now, but it's a very good album. And I'll give this one an RTO ranking of 8 out of 10. Okay, number 2. Fourth album of the millennium, came out in 2013, and this is 29th overall. And it's called The Diving Board, and this is only his second studio album without sort of his regular band members. All these regulars appear on them, but there's so many people on this album again. So first track up, Oceans Away. Great track, great singing, the piano's great. Just a really good opening track of an album. Oscar Wilde Gets Out. Quite atmospheric, really nice words, lovely piano playing from Elton on that. I do like that track a lot. A Town Called Jubilee, one of my favourites on here. It's just very uplifting. And then we have my favourite track on here. It's called The Ballad of Blind Tom. It's one of them story songs. It's got a lot of atmosphere. The piano playing on this is probably one of the best songs of the 2000s, to be quite honest, and that I would say of the 2010s as well. It's just a really super song. Then we get Dream number 1, which is an instrumental interlude, and it's just Elton doing a little 40-second piano piece. Then we get My Quicksand, very jazzy. I love this. It's got brushes on the drums. That's that smoky bass scenario again. You get a little bit of the Mountain King, Hall of the Mountain King. It's just things are great before it goes back into the jazz. Very, very good track. Can't Can't Stay Alone Tonight. Great little bluesy piano-y number. Fantastic track. Voya. Probably Elton's best performance on vocals on this. I like how this starts off gently and he builds it up. Very, very good track. Home Again. Some of the finest piano playing from Elton on this. Absolutely wonderful stuff. Then we get Take This Dirty Water, bluesy sound again. I love it when he does the bluesy piano. It is terrific. Then we get Dream Number 2, another 43-second piano interlude. Then it goes into the new Fever Waltz, quite a moving song. It's got a real nice atmosphere to it. Really good song. Then we get Mexican Vacation, Kids in the Candlelight. He loves playing the blues on this. It's a very bluesy sound. Really good again. Then we get Dream Number 3, which is a bit longer. It's the longest and the best of these Dreams numbers. A bit quirky. Then we get the title track, Diving Board, the last track. It's got some chanting on this. Sort of a monk chant. It's amazing. So's the track. This is a fantastic album. I think it's got some of Elton's best piano playing on this for a long time. It's gentle, soulful as well. It's got some nice tracks and I love playing this one. And I'm going to give this an RTO ranking of 8.3. But my number one album of this period is his third album of the millennium. It's his 28th, released in 2006, and it's The Captain and the Kid. Now this is his second autobiographical album with Bernie Taupin, picking up where Captain Fantastic and the Brown Dirt Cowboy left off. First track on here is Postcards from Richard Nixon. That piano at the beginning is fantastic. And he's sort of gone that you put these two albums on against each other and it's really in that style, just using more modern recording technology. It's a really great track. Just Like Noah's Ark, great little rocker, definitely something from that 75, that mid-70s Elton John. Absolutely brilliant track. Wouldn't Have It Any Other Way, in brackets NYC, another great track. Could have come straight off the Captain Fantastic album, actually. There's no much same. It's sort of in the vein of the Battle Sentence. It's just really good. Tinderbox, second favourite track here. It's so amazing that he's doing the 70s sound in the 21st century, and it's really good. And The House Fell Down, good old-fashioned 70s pop song, and I love it. The keyboards at the beginning are so 70s, he's created that sound. Terrific stuff. Then we have my favourite track on here, Blues Never Fade Away. Brilliant. It's just, again, another track that could have been on the Captain Fantastic album. It's that good. Then we get the bridge. The piano playing here is amazing, especially that bit towards the end. It's just very gentle. Great track. I Must Have Lost It on the Wind. He goes and puts a little country style song in, as he ever does, and it is really good. I love that track. Old 67, another bluesy, soulful song. Lovely vocal from Elton on this, absolutely brilliant. And then we get the last track, the title track, The Captain and the Kid. Little bit of that country arrangement, great vocals. What a track to end the album. as it says, this certainly carries on that spirit from the 1975's Captain Fantastic album. Even if you didn't realise, you thought that you was being transformed back to 1975. Absolutely brilliant album. It's actually one of my favourite albums by Elton John. Out of all his albums, this is. It's certainly up there. Definitely top 10. And I'm going to give this one an RTO ranking of 8.5. So there we go. That's we've now practically covered the whole of his sort of studio albums. So next week we're going to take up the other side of Elton John, and we're going to look at some of the collaboration work that he's done with other people. So that's what we're going to look at next week. Okay, I'll be back very shortly with a retro ranking, and I'm going to look at one of my favourite fun bands that I love to listen to, and that is Kiss. But I found 20 songs that just do nothing for me. So we're going to have a look at some bad songs by Kiss. Controversial, I'm sure it will be. But there's nothing wrong with a bit of a controversial choices. So I'll be back for that later. Bye for now.